Today it's really just pure anxiety, just uncut anxiety. But I feel a lot better than last time because I have some other choices. Like I could have somebody pay attention to the scene for me on my behalf, that's just a huge relief imagining that.
Wow, wow. So Maria looked different kind of nervousness this time. What were you feeling last time, Maria? Jumping off a cliff to not have to do it?
I was bracing. I was anticipating
Yeah, bracing.
real panic or something. I didn't have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for me, I'm always anxious before I begin. And typical for a conversation with Maria or with Sam, I come away in 5 minutes knowing more about my own anxiety or whatever's going on because Maria reminded me of how often I have said that I'm anxious because I don't know where to start. And that is going to always be true for all of you, unless you're drugged. You're going to be anxious when somebody says, "So, what is that thing that you do? What's that thing you're studying?" And I mean any aspect. I don't care what it is because everything that we do is a natural pattern, and natural patterns are infinitely complex. So this is just an acknowledgement of my humility. I'm just a speck by comparison to what I can actually know. Oh, duh. Why is this such a big deal this morning? Well, because the topic for this morning or today is certainty. And why? Because we have something that no other thing based in science or medicine or philosophy or psychology has ever achieved deliberately. We have a very, very, very limited amount of things that we can be certain of. We're going to talk about that today because this is at the heart and soul of people judging us, being critical of us, challenging us. And this is a basic I've never taught. I've taught the things, and I've said, we can know because, but we have never, I've never taught, and nobody else, Sam or Maria, has taught a basics class on, well, how do we know the shit that we're talking about is true?
Mm.
Then me, being me, I go online at the last minute and I Google certainty, and what comes
Steve,
up
I'm
is,
literally doing etymology of certainty.
yeah, there you go, good.
Sick.
And
Something's
and
wrong.
I feel like a little bit like Jeremy right now because I knew most of the sources. I don't understand them completely, but like Jeremy, he often knows a shit ton about a topic if you raise the topic. But then you dig into it, and like all human beings, you go, oh, there's so much more. And the first confusing thing that I read is something being true and something you are certain of, are they the same thing?
Mm.
Thankfully not.
Uh, Don't even go there yet. We're going to go somewhere into this thing. Maybe in the third part with me, we'll come to this because I am absolutely curious about Maria and Sam and what they're going to talk about this. But I just am trying to raise the importance at the beginning because of all the things that we could talk about in terms of how we interface with the rest of the world. I think this topic is the most important. People think the most important thing is to have proof or scientific proof or all these other things, but in the real world most people can see there can be something that's blatantly true and people go no.
Mm.
you know so to begin with, what this is about really is, can you see the certainty? This is not about, can we get the whole world to see it? That's a way different thing. But can you see the certainty? Because that's really important. Other than that, when somebody challenges you, you can fall apart inside, and it's very painful. It has been for me. Anyway, okay, Maria, you're on.
Steve, I don't know if you saw these, but I thought that this was interesting. It says Latin certus, resolve, fixed. Fixed feels right for me. But then it also says Italian, Spanish, past participle, um cernere or something, to sift. There's something about that I liked
Stiff?
because to sift,
No,
like to
this is
sift
not a
through it.
sexual thing, right?
No, no, but to separate the thing from um even when I was thinking about what I'm going to do today, I'm like, how the fuck would I even do the exercise that I'm asking them to do? How would
Yeah.
I even be able to answer it? So
Good. So
anyway,
you're
I'm
starting with
realizing
the
how difficult this is.
Absolutely. But remember the limitation. How can we know the few things that are clearly defined in emergence, the few things, mind body orientation, things like that? How can we be certain when we see them?
Hmm.
Because the certainty that you can get easily is 1 plus 1 is 2, which only exists in theory. But in the real world, you don't go to the store and buy 8 apples because the recipe calls for 8. You pick through 20 and you put back 12, and we fudge it. Anyway, you're on.
Okay, I didn't do this before, but does anybody have pen and paper or phone and thumb? Pen and paper is preferred, but okay, I'll give you a minute. Okay, I'm gonna show you an image, and on the left side, I want you to write what pattern you're certain is on Ashley's face. And then on the right side, I want you to write why you're certain, the evidence, how you know it to be true.
Hmm.
Of course, I saved it to my fucking desktop and I can't fucking find it. Steve, can you let me share? If
I'm doing it right now. You're on.
Thank you. Can everybody see this?
And the first thing is what can you repeat what you said, Maria?
Yeah, on the left side, write down a pattern, a natural pattern that you see on Ashley's face. And on the right side, write down how you know it to be true.
Hmm.
Does anybody want to take a stab?
Oh, sure. I'm filled with certainty. I'll take a stab.
Oh, good, Sam.
Listen, um, I was really stuck between the word surprise or excitement. I could not land of those two.
Mm,
So,
Um,
so you weren't certain of which one it was.
no, and I was looking for a third word that was vaguer than those that so it just could not be wrong. That's what I noticed my mind was doing, like something so zoomed out that it would just catch everything. But those are the vaguest I could find. And my evidence was I've made that face and I've also seen that face in countless contexts. That was
mm.
my evidence. Like I pictured myself at a basketball game and the guy hit the game-winning shot, or like being a child Christmas morning and I open up and it's a Nintendo. Stuff like that. Those are the pictures I had of my own life.
What's it like, Steno, to get stuck between excitement and surprise?
Oh, it's hard. I really want to pick the right one, you know. Um, I think in my deepest mind, I tip towards excitement, you
Mm,
know. Because it just surprise can have more negative contexts. Um, Excitement feels more positive, and this looks positive to me,
Hmm.
you know.
So let's
I have so
do,
much.
yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead,
No, I
Sam.
have no. I was just gonna say I have so much. Like I just make up stories too. So like, Astrid has the same birthday as me, so I'm just imagining this is like her birthday, and like a present is like coming down the driveway, or so. I don't know. Like, and maybe that's a memory of this photo, even, but I just make up stories.
So something to recognize before you even go forward is that in a way that we never ask, and this is very important, are the words surprise and excitement mutually exclusive?
mm.
Or is one a derivative of the other?
Yeah, I'm like, is excitement anticipating or reliving of a pleasant surprise? Is it like,
Steve, can you? I don't know if I really understand the word derivative. Can you
Okay. Derived from, come from,
derive from? Okay.
grow out of. So, in other words, I'm saying to you that perhaps excitement is the broad meta category and a surprise is a kind of excitement. And by
Okay.
doing that, you eliminate the
Yes.
ambiguity, and you can see that because you can be excited, and excitement is just a rapid whatever increase in your mood.
That's helpful because that's what my mind was looking to do. It was looking for whatever the most meta label I could slap on this photo, even though I have no idea truly um, what's
Okay,
going on here.
most of you should be lost now because trying to put this into words is a fucking bitch.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry, Maria.
why sorry, John?
I actually had surprise too. I had surprise, and then I was like, there was something about it that felt iffy because it's I initially wrote surprise and like my evidence or whatever, like mouth open, eyes wide, and the hand is above the head. And so I just saw it as like a very the energy from the head up. And I just think about when you have an emergence, like how, or have pleasant surprise, how so much of that is a mental world thing in that moment. And
Mm,
so looking at the snapshot, they're just, you
mm,
can see so much of the energy is in the upper half of the picture.
Mm,
Um, at least that's like what I feel seeing it.
mm,
mm.
Um,
Let me give another hint. In emergence, everything is a pair of opposites. The only way we know anything, let alone certainty, is that we wisely pick the pair of opposites. So in this photograph, and Sam alluded to it, there's lots of kinds of surprises. Some of them aren't pleasant. This one looks pleasant. Why? Why does it look like a pleasant surprise instead of a painful surprise? Anyway, let me shut up.
Yeah, thinking of the opposite, Steve, I was just picturing Ashley like everything's like hunched over and she everything is opposite her body right now. And it's like she's disappointed by something that comes out or like I'm just seeing the opposite. Like I can see picture Otis too, just slouched and just like very opposite of this body
That,
reaction.
okay, that's
You know
good,
what I'm
Jesse.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I had surprise too, and then but there's something in her eyes that I just feels different. than that. I don't, it
That's
feels,
good.
everything else feels surprise to me, but her eyes. Don't know why.
Just think about what's happening right now. Maria is showing you a photograph of something that we have all seen examples of for all our entire lives.
Mm.
And yet, look at the degree of uncertainty
Yeah.
in what you're thinking.
Yeah, when you're pushed to say why when I'm pushed to say why I know it, um, because I'm thinking if somebody's getting shot at, would they look like that? If they're trying, I don't know. Like I'm like, how do you?
Can I can I go?
Yeah,
Can I?
Sarah, go ahead. Yes.
So I also had excitement, but my evidence was the mouth open, hands up, but I kept waffling between like that and how do I not know it's shock or like she's actually scared. Um, I was imagining like she saw a snake, and she was like, like, so that I don't know. I can't be certain and I also don't have any evidence for Astrid in any other context. Like I don't know her. I don't know her demeanor. So initially excitement, but I was really waffling and I can't land on that.
Mhm.
I struggle with that too. I got surprised and I keep hitting this wall. It's like I can't be certain. I mean, I just keep hitting that. Like I see I can list some evidence, but like for me to feel like certain, like I can't get there.
Okay, so this is important. And again, this is language. There's so many things that are affecting this idea. Initially, Jeremy, you just said you can't be certain. Well, you sound certain that you can't be certain. I'm not being an asshole, but that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what the topic, I would normally not say that, but this is the topic. We are looking at one of the most difficult topics, period, in life. Because we make decisions based on our degree of certainty, psychological certainty, all of them. But in emergence, we have some things of which we can be completely certain. And I have not found any other things in a system of meta ideas that that's true about. In theory, many. 1 plus 1 is 2. But that doesn't translate to the real world because no thing repeats the same way twice. So there is no such thing as one in the real world because that one is going to be different from another one. Therefore, the idea that they're perfectly ones, a standard instance, no. There are things here that you can use to know. And one of the things that you can use to know is, do the eyes look tense?
The thing that comes to mind for me is that she's seeing something out of the ordinary, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Her eyes don't look tense to me, but
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
You can keep talking, Vern. You have more?
I'm at the airport, so when they started
Yes, I
talking, I thought that
remember.
would be distracting. Um, so yeah, I don't know necessarily if it's I mean it looks like surprise. Um, but I know what I don't know, but it appears as if yeah, something out of the ordinary is has caught her attention. Am I certain? No. Mm.
Could we have
So, would it surprise you to say that I am? And would you then think, like sometimes Hannah has challenged me and said, what are you playing God? Without being harsh, but seriously, like, how do you fucking know? This is the question we're talking about today.
Yeah, I was there and I'm still trying to prove to myself, how do I know that that's what she experienced? I have the context of everything, and I'm still struggling with how would I prove that to be true to somebody with without any doubt?
Can I ask? I almost want to say, like, what does the tense eyes look like? Like, I almost need something to use as a benchmark to like weigh it against.
That's
And then
good, Sarah.
the other one is Lissetti. Like, could we zoom out and could we have more information based off what Lissetti's feeling?
Ah,
But I think that to do that, Sarah, means that you go down the rabbit hole.
Mm.
Because where do you stop when you're trying to look at something? At
mm-hmm,
what point do you say, I'm looking at this?
mm-hmm.
And that also, that you have raised something really important, as has everybody else.
Plants?
Yeah, I feel like her body looks surprised, but some this is what I think Jeremy said this. Something about her eyes, or no, Jesse. Something about her eyes look, I thought they looked bored. Like it was weird, like her eyes and her body didn't connect for me. And then I was like, well, maybe she's blank. Like, in a start? Is she in a startle? I don't know.
That we will come back to, Clancy.
Okay.
Mm.
That statement is really important.
I keep thinking about the certainty on the map being theoretical, and I think that's making it easier for me to start to tip in the direction of being more comfortable with the idea of certainty.
And yet, Jeremy, the whole point of emergence is the maps are certain in the real world as well. That's what makes emergence different than any other system of any kind. That the maps map something that we can be certain of in theory, and that they are absolutely measurable in the real world. That the outcome of a measurement of those things can be certain. Now, you don't hear that a poorly done measurement can be certain. I'm simply saying can. This is not to say you have certainty about everything, but rather it can be achieved in the real world. Now, that's important. And I hope you, all of you, continue to challenge this as we go on. But I will promise you that in the last presentation, I'll show you how we can know something is certain. Maria has picked a really good and complicated real world example.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like I'm doing a thought experiment of like after this moment, somebody asking Astrid like, "Were you surprised?" And what would happen in that kind of moment?
Hmm.
Would she even be able to answer? Would she even know a moment later? Would it be a guess? You know, that kind of
Mm.
just like an interesting thought.
You know, Maria, as I think about it, I think you've picked an infinitely complex example.
I There was another photo and I chose this one. There's a photo
This,
just before this.
but this is a good photograph. But what I'm saying is, I don't care what photograph you took or of who. This photograph, as people are talking, I'm realizing it's infinitely complex.
Yeah, it's not like there's a pumpkin and you're like, are you sure that this is a pumpkin?
And it's not like our usual definitions where we can see certainty, because there are, I've identified like 20 tipping points in the photograph for myself based on people asking questions. And Clancy just gave me an aha about the eyes.
Mm.
I think the thing Jesse pointed to is actually one of the deepest complications I run into, which is I'll see quite a lot in something, and then I'll ask the person some question to and they'll say, "No, I didn't feel any of that," and then
Mm.
that
Mm.
causes a deep crisis. Not you're not like but just in the moment of like, whoa, I perceived all this stuff. They're saying no. And it's like I can't ignore the no, but I also can't ignore all this stuff that I see and feel pretty confident about. So those are some of the more complicated situations in my life, I think, those things.
Jesus, I had no idea this was going to happen, all of this. Sam, do you realize you are describing misunderstanding, which is an inherent part of every single interaction by every pair of people?
Correct. That wouldn't have put that word, but that's really precise because it's so deep because it's like they could be misunderstanding themselves. It could be the word I chose that they're disagreeing with. It,
Oh,
it
I'm
could be
saying
anything.
something more. I'm saying we can be certain that there is some degree of misunderstanding always. I've never
Yes.
thought of that. You gave me an aha. Always. There's no way.
But
No way. And
I'm
yet,
thinking, oh,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead,
Steve,
John.
go ahead.
Go. No, go.
Oh, no,
Oh, Eric.
it's so interesting this whole time I've been in my own kind of uncertainty. And because like I get these little flashes of okay, this is what I think now. And then I stop and then somebody says it out loud. Like somebody reflects on the exact thing that I was thinking. And then I'm like, if how many times should I just not talk? Because eventually every single thing I'm going to say is going to come up. So
Christ. I am getting a master class in certainty from all of you. What you just said, Eric, immediately, I just had another aha. The main reason why people don't speak up in a class is because they have a degree of uncertainty that's unpleasant. That's the main reason, along with the fear of being misunderstood.
yeah.
I just saw that's a nice benefit to the way my mind is of having door seven, meaning feeling tons of certainty immediately. Is I feel like, oh, I'll go first. Like because there's something there that enables me to go. That because there's so much certainty.
It's interesting that I'm going down not a rabbit hole, but I've been thinking about the word aghast. Like, does that describe it? You know, because aghast could be something horrifying, but it also could be something wonderful. Um, and just the, it seems like she took a breath in, um, arms up. So that's kind of
Uh,
what's happening for me.
that's good. It generates yet another comment. I need to shut up. I'm interfering with Maria's time here, but what Vern just did everybody notice
Your
that
attention,
Vern
please.
did this
Passengers and
movement?
visitors in the airport
And do
terminal
you see
are
any
reminded that
leaning
in advance
backwards
TSA
in
security regulations
Astri's
to
body?
leave
No, you
unattended
do
baggage
not.
or packages
And you
in the
think
building.
if it's negative or
Unattended
painful,
items will be removed
can
by
we
airport
use
public safety.
the idea of
Thank you.
leaning back to say this is something that distinguishes between pleasant and painful? I think we can.
Mm, that's good, Steve.
But that came from you, Vern. Thank you.
Yeah, I just went to a place of this is all bullshit. Why am I trying to figure this out?
Holy, oh, oh.
Yeah, and that's like real rare for me. That's like one percenter for me. And I just went to like, why? What's the point of trying to figure this out?
Ah, so
Point
the
because Sam,
degree of uncertainty is so high that you
or
want to
the
quit.
yeah, or the degree
Door
of like,
number 8.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I rarely go there, but Sam, there was something what you said about the. This is like psychosis for me. This is like where I will go, where I see it, it's not there, it is, it isn't, it's real, it's not. How do I know? Um,
Oh, like the thing I said about once the person adds that they just totally disagree with
yes,
it,
like
and then
like the
you're like,
realities are
fucking, that's
totally
real.
not there.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just keep thinking about her watching this in like 20 years.
Mama analyzed my face for a fucking hour. Is anybody else in Dory? Did anybody else go there at all? Vern, do you have any context for Door 8? Door 8 is I've given the fuck up. This
Um,
fucking point.
it's interesting because I'm trying to find the right word, and that's usually not me.
There you go. There it is. All the things we're talking about, the lack of certainty, the fear of being misunderstood, the like whatever.
Raise
Wow.
your hand if you went or are in Door 8. If you went at all.
Okay, realize door 8 is certainty that you can't know.
Oh,
Clarence, you didn't go? Oh, you
Yeah, I did in the beginning, but then I was so in the scene that I forgot that I went there at the beginning. But I was there, and I'm there in a lot of the time, so I relate to that. Yeah. Yeah, I
I
wrote down like the natural pattern is her mouth is open, and how do I know that I can see it? Like that's what I wrote because I was so uncertain.
I love that though.
Yeah,
You narrowed in on one
I was
fucking
like,
thing. Like I'm more Sarah, I so go with you where like I will go the rabbit hole infinite, look at all the things and lose complete um sight on what I'm actually looking for anymore.
I feel like I'm drowning and I'm just actually wanting somebody to tell me what is it? What is her face? What is it?
We're looking at a fucking picture of my at the time 3-year-old and we're having we're breaking down.
But take in that what the exchange between Vern and I, we just defined a pair of opposites,
Mm.
a naturally occurring pair of opposites, leaning forward, leaning backward, or at the very least not pulling back, like being present or leaning forward versus pulling back. Those are two directions. There are only two directions. You can pull away or you can stay. So, because of that, and this is the first thing I'm going to say, all things in emergence that we can be certain of have that quality. There are only two possibilities.
Can anyone say how they know she's not in pain? They're certain she's not in pain if they feel certain about that?
My immediate reaction is there's not any wins.
Glad you're here. We invite you to experience our food, beverage, and retail offerings throughout the complex. Did you know that you can enjoy beer, wine, or a cocktail at your gate? Ask about citizens.
Go ahead, Vern. I couldn't tell if you were you.
the eyebrows being up. There's something about the eyebrows being up that makes me think it's not pain or um
Hmm.
Yeah, I
because
don't feel it. Oh, sorry, sorry, Vern.
no, that's it.
No, I don't feel any pain looking at her myself.
Ah,
I
good,
don't. I
Sam.
don't look at her. Yeah.
That's good.
The only sort of thing I feel that's mildly adverse is sort of what Clancy said, that I think Clancy said is that the body feels disconnected from the mind or something. Like I feel something about that that's not, but the rest I don't feel like any like oof, like gut, like punch in the gut.
I actually wrote down fear, and now I'm like really asking myself questions about that. Like for some reason there was this like just the as I imprinted in my mind, I'm like if something like like drastic just popped out, right? Like you could be surprised, but also the surprise could scare you a little bit.
In emergence, the most critical and basic pattern in the whole thing is painful versus pleasant surprise. So both are surprises, but the opposite. And the thing that I just went between Vern and I is it painful or pleasant? That is a pair of opposites.
How quickly, I'm wondering how quickly can they switch? So I'm thinking, I'm trying not to give something away. Um, like, could the anticipation be that it'll be pleasant and it actually turns painful? And you see, but this is like, and am I catching that moment?
You just did it, Maria. When you watch back, you're going to notice that in the middle of your sentence, you winced. So you absolutely did the very
Yeah,
thing that
it's
you're
this,
asking.
yeah, it's this feeling inside of like, I could do this infinitely. Like the piece of my brain that piece of my mind that I wish I could.
But each piece is knowable. That's what certainty requires. That what we're looking at, we know what it is. Clancy?
Yeah, maybe I already said this, but this is going off of what Maria just said. I feel like her body reacted and her eyes, but her mind hasn't registered an emotion yet. And so she's not feeling anything. I don't know if that's true, but
Clancy has now pointed to something that I don't think anybody has realized here. If you have, you're not saying it, but which is this. The word excitement refers to a pattern of change, not a pattern of stillness. The comments you made, Clancy, about her eyes are the kind of eyes that somebody would make only if they got startled. The eye themselves, but the muscles around her eyes don't exhibit any of that. So a still photograph, if you look long enough at the eyes, looks exactly like what eyes look like when the person goes blank
Mm.
because they're not moving. So this becomes something that can't be determined just from a photograph without looking at the muscles around the eye. Because what holds the eye still is that the muscles tighten when the mind goes blank. They don't look tight to me. Her face doesn't look tight. Her body doesn't look tight. Nothing about her looks tight.
I don't.
Yeah, now for some reason, I don't know why what Steve's saying unlocked this, but I so want to know if there's a sound that goes with this. Like, was she making a sound and how important that piece of data is that's missing? There's no sound.
That's good, Sam. And notice that sound is the registering of a change in the air. A photograph can't register change.
Well, now a question comes to me is how do we know when we don't have enough data? How do we know when we don't have enough?
Okay. I can say I'm certain of what I see.
Like
But
I'm going to other things like okay, does Ashley have curly hair on the tips of her hair? Yes. Like I got there's nothing that I'm like,
are
but
you
when it's
are
about
you saying when she gets excited, the curls in her hair
no,
move?
no, I'm not saying anything about her excitement. I'm just saying, does she have a zipper in the middle of her jacket? Yes. I'm certain there's no like, right? But when it comes to this invisible half of it being an invisible experience, I'm like, oh shit.
The other thing that Steve made me think about now is like, I think she's body first, isn't she? So what is that? Oh no, she's mine first.
As of right now,
Well,
all evidence tips the to the
At
mind.
least for 5 years, we've observed her to be body first.
Mine first.
I mean, mind first. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
that's the other thing. Like, how does that influence it? And
But
like,
you're asking, this is the pollution of the mind. You are asking questions about something which are straying so far from the picture as to be, okay, as to be indicative of a condition of a person for whom every detail has importance, equal importance.
no,
A,
I
a
can
rare condition that,
Here's why I think that because when Clancy had said that the eyes looked sort of blank, and then I thought, okay, what's her body type? Could it be that if she was mind first, then like her mind didn't catch up and her body reacted first without her even knowing? But like, then is that,
Sarah,
yeah.
Sarah, I'm drowning.
Okay, so raise your hand if you're gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. For the people that raise their hand about being gone, can you share something?
Yeah, I tipped into a place. It was actually helpful for me, I guess 10, 15 minutes ago, roughly. I was like, I don't know that I have the pre-learning to spot what we're talking about. And I just dropped
Mm.
into a place of like, I want to learn this. So I'm
Oh,
just
Jeremy.
gonna stop trying to build off of what I already know. Like John,
Oh,
I've been talking about this. So I'm just listening, trying to pay attention and learn because I don't think I can answer this.
let me add though, Jeremy, I'm blown away. Thank you. But let me add that, like young children pre learning, part of pre learning is guessing without having to have any punitive action or happen to you. To be able to guess is just like the experiment that children use to learn. Is this what I think it is or not?
I have a million guesses. To what Eric said made me realize when he said fear. The first thing I saw when I saw this picture, she looked like she's being robbed at gunpoint. That's the first thing that came into my mind.
Lordy.
Jesus Christ.
Or like an
That
animal. It was like an
the
animal that an animal popped out of the woods, you know?
The
Yeah.
poss the possibility of Maria showing a photograph where she's getting robbed at gunpoint is, I'm certain
yeah,
it's
but that's the
zero.
thing, Steve. The context thing is it's fucking yeah.
Okay, and I am saying to you all that in cases of human nature, personality, knowing things about people, a photograph will never be enough other than to identify the most basic things that we can know. Very few. And the two kinds of surprises are one of the only things we can know from a photograph. Because there's so many things that the body must do that differentiate pain from pleasant experiences.
Yeah, I'm like pleasantly surprised that there's quite a few more than I thought that have been mentioned, like body moving forward, body moving backward, eyes tense, eyes at ease. And I don't even need to jump to the meaning of what each of those is.
Yes, yes.
There's a lot of just this or that shit that only gets confusing once you try to make a meaning. which I know for people like me and Sarah can be difficult because we're the story, wanting to shoot the story on top is, real.
And in this case, Sam, that's really saying something excellent because each of those things by itself cannot tell us the person's experience. It's only after you accumulate a number of them which only coincide in a person's particular state. Like the leaning back or not leaning back, the tension in around the eyes or not tension, um, you know, I
Mouth
mean,
open, mouth closed. I mean,
mouth open,
there's a
mouth
lot.
closed.
Eyebrows up. That was one I never thought of that Vern said. Eyebrows
Okay,
up, eyebrows down.
I'm gonna pause for a second. Sam and Steve, you have a 5 minute pause, okay? 5 minute pause, okay?
You're in timeout.
No, just 5 minute pause.
Oh God.
Okay.
Can I say something, Maria?
Yes.
I mean the thing Steve just said really I'm like, is he saying that we can know for certain that this is either pleasant or unpleasant in this photo? Because in my every time I look at, like, I'm not looking at it. I stopped looking at it because every time I look at it, it fucks me up because it pulls me towards both sides. Like when I look at it, I'm like, I'm getting pulled into, it's like those fucking magic eyes. I'm getting pulled into the suffering or I'm getting pulled into the joy. I almost feel like it's a photo of the precipice between the two moments,
Mm.
but I could totally be wrong. But I'm very skeptical. I hear what Steve's saying, but I am also skeptical that it's one or the other at this point.
Is anybody finding this way more difficult than they thought in the beginning as it goes on? Lexi, what's happening for you?
I just feel very quiet this morning and I'm enjoying listening.
Do you feel any frustration in not being able to be certain?
Yeah. Yeah, I notice myself go away the more um the more ideas come on the table. And I don't know if it's the overwhelm of the different possibilities. When you first asked the question, I wrote down surprise. And then for what's my evidence, I couldn't write anything down. I didn't even know what that meant for me. And then that fucked me up.
I'm curious if everybody could write down something in their life where this pattern that's happening to them here and now is happening in their life. Are you torn between two places? Do you feel that you can't be certain about a decision in your life? You can't be certain about a feeling that you're having. You can't be certain about fucking anything. I don't know. Whatever. I'm curious what it's bringing because that thing about the psychosis thing, I mean, it's everywhere in me.
Maria,
Yes.
I'm certain that that this is not a neutral situation.
Not neutral. Look at the smile and the pleasant surprise on your face.
Can you all notice? I know I'm breaking the rule.
She's
That
dying.
Vern is leading forward. That the tension is completely gone from her face. Look at her eyes. Her whole body is loose, free, joyous. There's so many signs. Shut up, Steve!
John, what's happening for you? I'm seeing you.
I guess I'm just listening to everyone's process. I'm trying not to get lost too much in, like, because with the stuff, it's not content, it's just this or that. So like what I'm trying to see and connect with everyone as they're saying things, but not get too lost in it because that's where I'm like I go away from the pattern. Like the pattern is here. It's just like the,
Uh,
up or down. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm just with everyone and I'm not, yeah, I don't know. I don't have this certainty that like I can't see it. I did my wavering certainty initially was with the eyes of like, but then I'm like, okay, all of the energy is up here. And so I can see that. I can see that. And then I'm like, okay, could this picture have been taken at like 7:30 in the morning and she's sleepy and she's being pleasantly like there's like so many other things that like and I'm like, nope, I can't know that right now. And
mm.
so I have to put those things aside and just look at literally what's changing in front of me right now in this picture. And so like that's what I'm trying to stay focused on, but also just like,
But
give
John,
the
to even
time.
even what you just said, to know that you can't know already like blows my mind. To be certain that you can't be certain is like, oh my fucking God.
Mm. And then when you asked that question, I was like really trying to connect with like a somewhere in my life where I am confused about something like I'm having a difficult time connecting like a like what was the precise thing that you said? Like
I
connecting a
don't know.
feeling?
Something about, yeah, if a place you can't be certain in your life, or a place where you just give up because you feel that you can't know enough, or a place where, do I really feel this? Do they really feel that about me?
Yeah. I've had that in
That's
spades
there.
with work. So I'm
Uh,
like, so especially with our team, not in this like in this scene where I'm at right now with them, but like I've just was thinking like literally the last 6 months, I've had that and I've had to do like work through a lot of that shit. And I mean, there's still some of it lingering, but um, yeah, I related to that a lot. And then when Lexi was asking about the surprise, I was like, I would love if she asked the question right now, guys, what does surprise look like? I just like I wanted to hear that question. Like I
mm,
wanted Lexi to so bad to like get that.
mm.
Um, so yeah, that was all was going through me.
Sam, are you dying?
About not talking, you mean? About the five
Yeah,
minute
you
cap?
got a blanket and and put a straight jacket on.
No, I was relieved. I mean, I have this inner thing about like too much space, the whiz kid at the cl in the cl like everyone will hate me, like so when you just say you're not allowed to talk, it resolves it for 5 minutes. I don't have to manage it myself. I'm just like
Oh
it feels like
shit.
relief. I wish you would have gave me 20 minutes.
Steve, are you okay?
I'm floored by how much I am learning. And I want to just throw out there, any time that you commit to learning from a teacher, if that teacher isn't floored by how much more they are learning when they're in your presence, you should stop being around them.
Yeah, even before doing this, I was like, I'm even when we did the first set, I was so excited about the Lear and whatever we did last month. I'm like, oh, I wonder what I'm gonna learn. I wonder what they're gonna help me learn. I wonder what I'm gonna see. Should I take this photo down now? Are we done being in agony? That was a lot harder than I thought.
How so?
I thought I I thought I knew a lot more about it before I started to question it more deeply. Particularly her face, not about like certainty or something, but what I saw in her face and then the questions just my mind went to some things I'll share another time, but um yeah, like the reality break, the almost like existential of how can I be sure of what I see? Because I'll go to the fight of the precision of how do I know that the zipper's pink? Is it my eye seeing it pink? The frequency of the vibration of the light? Is someone else going to see it as red? So what is it just
I wanted there to be a right answer. Like,
mm,
to know that.
Pay attention to that. That's the death of learning. If there's a right answer, do all the rest of the things not matter? If there's a right answer, are you smart?
mm,
If there's a right answer, do you know emergence? No,
mm,
no. And if you're in emergence and looking for a right answer, you're going to kill your ability to learn emergence. So, in a minute, Maria's section is done. And at this point, I want to just point out, and anybody can feel free to add, the first thing that we can see from this that wasn't mentioned is the imprecision of words and language.
mm,
That must be set aside with the goal that we come to more fully or accurately define the word we choose to try to understand. And I offer as a very caring advice, pick wisely. There are very few words we can ever feel certain about.
mm,
In my mind, and this probably hasn't occurred to all of you, surprise has been my work since 1996. Since I'm autistic, I have an unusual need to look at faces, and facial expressions have a great meaning to me because not knowing them made the first half of my life very painful. To be able to just tell one single expression, which is a two that are one, a pair of opposites, painful surprise and pleasant surprise, the two surprises, has defined my life. But there are so many things that I have, so many times I've often said, I can't teach this. And boy, is today one of those times where I see little tiny pieces of, well, I could teach that. For instance, the leaning back and the leaning forward, the tension on the muscles on the face, especially around the eyes, or the smoothness. Yeah. Is anybody surprised at how hard this was? Besides me? Only Maria? Holy shit. And don't do it because it's socially you're in the group. I
mm.
am so surprised at how complicated, more complicated this is. I mean, well, Maria and I both got on going, we don't know where to start. Before Sam takes his turn, there's a map, the original map, the Wiseman's map, where in the lower right hand corner is facts. There's a learning map which exactly parallels all the quadrants, and in the lower right hand corner are door 7. I'm certain I know this. And door 8, I'm certain I can't know this. Every single fact includes those kinds of certainties. What I'm certain I can know and what I'm certain I can't know. That is a way to know a fact. In order to know a fact, you have to know both. What I can't know and what I can know. So, in this hour, people have variously complicated and simplified what we were doing, and the way to be certain you can't know is to complicate it.
Mm.
If you have more than one ball in the air, you're going to already have a complicated task to keep more than one in the air. If you focus on one pair of opposites at a time, like the lean back or lean forward, or the tension on the face, around the eyes especially, or the smoothness, the looseness, those two pairs of opposites are easy to see one at a time. One at a time. Complicated is looking for more than one pair of opposites at a time. That guarantees you'll never be certain. Yeah. Anybody have anything to say before Sam gets on?
What
Just
you, yeah, what you just said, Steve, reminded me of our talk recently about we were defining anxiety as being like too many experience. It's like too much experience. And just thinking of having all these balls in the air and trying to, yeah, and the anxiety is just so much. Yeah.
and not to make you feel bad, Jesse,
Yeah.
but the anxiety is a pair of opposite experiences that can't land. So,
Uh,
and I say it not to make you feel bad, but
um,
this is the point. To know something, you have to see that it is a pair of opposites. Those are the qualities you can measure. If a thing has more than two possibilities, okay, imagine a coin had three sides. We can't even imagine coins with three sides. Somebody might say the edge. Well, fuck you. People have said that to me in groups. I'm not mad at any of you.
yeah.
But a coin has two sides. And how certain can we be of its heads or tails when it lands? 100%. Somebody could complicate the shit out of this by saying, well, what if you have bad eyesight? What if it lands in water? Like all manner of stupid things. But we're just simply looking at the pair of opposites. We're not complicating it by saying, well, what if it goes in quicksand? Then I'd have to go, oh, the coin lands on something where it lands on solid whatever, and you have eyesight to be able to see it, and the light is good enough. Like all of a sudden, the thing is a mess. The fucking coin lands. It's either head or tails. Bum. Anyway, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't, of course, as is often the case, I didn't prepare anything for this. I got on, I looked at the email as I was getting on about the topic. I was like, holy fuck. And then, yeah, I mean, the only thing I wrote down was just tipping points and pairs of opposites, which is like my mind is filled to the brim with them. Um, and even what Steve was saying in the beginning about anxiety, I was thinking a lot about that I basically feel anxious every time I'm running a group. I mean, I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And I was thinking about how I don't really know what it's like to feel calm running a group. I know what it's like to feel calm in a group.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah. And yeah, and I think about how most of my life I just focused on whether the group was good or not. But the tipping point is good for them or good for me. I mean, it's often good for them and I enjoy that, but it's rarely good for me except for the thing about the that it's good for them. And so I'm like in this group starting my hour and it's like I feel anxious. I've already looked at the clock. I'm like, there's 52 minutes. I got to get through it. It doesn't mean it's not going to go well. It's just, it's not, it doesn't feel like it will go well for me. Um, but the thing that's different, like a little different today is like, I am going to ask somebody to pay attention to the scene that I'm in because that's one of the things that gives me eternal anxiety. Like if I had $1 for every time I was with Steve and multiple people and he's like, Sam, this person's gone. Sam, did you notice this person glazed over? Sam, and that just lives in me, and not in a bad way. Like or even right now I'm looking around. Yeah, but I mean that's all I really want to talk about is tipping points and pairs of opposites because I feel like that is I mean the single most important, if not I mean it's everything to me. Every single thing I just mentioned is just too my whole mind is either going between opposites or trying to find an opposite to a thing that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, does anyone want to be my? Go ahead, Vern, and then I'll go back.
I just want you to know how intrigued I am by the is the group good for them or good for me? That just is blowing my mind right now. And I'm
Mm,
wondering if because probably well, Steve will say yes, that I'm me first. That I feel that if it has to be good for me first. And what I mean by that is I have to enjoy it. I have to be passionate about what I'm presenting. And then I feel if I'm passionate about what I'm presenting and it feels good to me, then the clients will, I mean, not everybody will have a good experience, but it's more apt, they're more apt to have a good experience if it's good for me. So thank you. I mean, I just never thought about that.
Do you see this as a perfect example of a tipping point for a character type where you must be me first because you are going first? My happiness goes first.
yeah.
Perfect. Couldn't be better. Love it.
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's like of course I have moments or something where I'm enjoying group or I feel like I don't want to. It's not just unbroken. The problem is what I come back to is a tipping point, which is I know what's expected of me as the leader of the group, or I don't. And I cannot I never can reach a state where I really know what's expected of me in any continuous way. Every time someone talks or something's happening, I go back into that particular tipping point and I just feel unsettled, really unsettled. Um, but just as quick aside, Maria, will you be my scene person?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's going on in the scene?
Um,
Is anyone, do you notice anyone?
John just picked a little bit of his nose.
Okay, very
Eric's
good.
eating something. Jeremy's got his normal furrowed brow. Um,
This is all I'm feeling immediately drowned. I'm like, Jeremy has a furrowed brow?
I have to pee, but I don't want to leave.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, you can't leave.
I can't. I have to just hold the
No,
pee.
you can't leave.
Lexi looks like she
Absolutely.
might have just been crying or she blew her nose. I can't tell. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. The two people that now that you've drawn me into the scene, the two people that are suffering the worst are at the bottom of my Brady Bunch thing. It's Sarah and Lexi just look like they're fucking dying. Yeah.
It's a lot of certainty in those scenes there, Maria.
Huh?
So there's a lot of certainty in those scenes there,
Well, I
Maria.
got the looks like. I got the looks like. Looks like a furrowed brow. Well, whatever. He has his furrowed brow. Looks like she was crying. I don't know. I'm getting more and more certain she was crying. The more I look, I don't know, the more her eyes respond.
Mm. Yeah, but I mean, when I think about trying to know stuff, in Emergence, I think about the early days when I met with Steve. This is even before Maria. And Steve would teach me a pattern, a tipping point pattern, like you state or me state, right? The person, you either see your need or the other person's need. And I would get off the fucking session and I would go, there's got to be another option. There has to be another option. There has to be. And I was like, who's this fucking guy? How could people not have figured this out that there's only two options? That was the piece that I kept getting stuck on. The theoretical piece that went, this is too simple. Somebody would have noticed it. This is nuts. But I want to spend just 30 seconds because some people don't do this. Try to spend 30 seconds, even if it feels absurd. Try to challenge that idea in your own mind. Try to think of another possibility between you have a need or there's a need outside you. Try with your full mind. Try to think of anything else that could be.
I'm
Go ahead, Steve.
autistic.
Add something if it helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no, it's just autism. It is about the need that you see. Which need
Right.
does the person see? Not which exists, because they both can exist.
They both can exist. Yes.
And
Which
this
can
is
you,
this
yeah.
is us adding something. This is why I say language is so important about certainty, because it is,
Yes.
for instance, from Vern's position, can she care about her own enjoying the group, or can she care about the other people enjoying the group? She can't do both at the same time. Can't even look at herself and the other people at the same time. But I love what you just said.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, you may have done this already, but go again. Again, try to find where else could you see a need?
Can I do
Try
more
to,
precision?
of
So
course.
this is
Listen,
not we're taking connection out, right? You're saying only when someone's in a state to see a need.
Oh, thank you,
correct. If
Maria.
you're in
Okay,
that kind of mode,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
where you're
No,
thinking
no, no.
about, yes,
okay.
She's correct. That needs to
she
be
is.
included.
She is right. She is
It's
right.
helping my
Yes.
mind.
Yeah, scan the whole fucking universe. There's a man on the moon, there's a fish under the sea, everywhere you can go. Just try to imagine where else it could be. I've been waiting 15 years for someone to come in with some hot answer that just opens the funnel back up for me. I
It,
believe this is the smartest group of people I know. So this is
No,
it.
I just thought about this. We could fucking heal this shit about the world um attacking us by letting the group attack the idea. And we just have
That's it.
groups and groups and groups. Just attack the idea. Let us just do all of them first. We'll do the fucking Eminem 8 Mile shit. I already
There you
have
go.
of
Vern, you
course,
got some?
well, of course, well, not of course, but what comes up is it possible to hold a we state, like a state where I'm at a moment I can consider the world or the the planet. I don't know.
Can
That's
I
what.
respond, Vern?
Please,
Good.
Steve.
Yes, this is a good play. Vern, I
This
went
is
to the
really
same
good.
place.
Okay. The first, there is a hierarchy of oppositeness in emergence, meaning that there are some meta things that are more meta than the other thing, and other things come from them. In the case of what we're talking about, the me state and the you state, the thing in common is that the person feels need, and then they're determining where, outside them or inside them. What you just referred to is what Maria added to what we're looking at, which is that, you see, there are a pair of opposites that precedes that is, are you connected or are you feeling needy? Because when you're connected, your sense of neediness goes away, no matter what's going on. Now, there's lots of proof. I'm not trying to do that one right now, but this is important what you just said. So there is a we state, but the we state is connection. And when you're connected, your needs go away. I don't care what they are. So this is important, connected or need, and there are two kinds of connection, two kinds of need, so whatever.
Yeah, and the thing Steve said, the most classic anecdote, someone can tell me if this is, if I think this is in one of your books, Steve, the thing about the guy with the third degree burns, is that in your book?
100%. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if people know this story,
Or
but it's a
second book.
guy that I'm
Yeah.
probably butcher this a bit, but
No.
there's a guy that gets really bad burns all over his body or whatever, and he's in an ambulance zipping towards the hospital, and one of the EMS workers actually risks making a joke in jest, and they're all laughing, including the guy with the burns. And then he realizes later, when I was laughing, I didn't feel any pain. I couldn't even feel the fucking burns.
Mm.
So this thing Steve's saying about there's in connection, there's no
Hmm.
the needs are gone. You could be in the worst pain ever, and someone could, you know, for a temporary moment, there's the needs are gone.
This man was fixing a furnace, and the oil got on his body, and he got on fire. And his wife threw a blanket on him and saved him. He drove himself to the hospital with flesh falling off of his arms, falling off. He got to the hospital, and somebody had to shave his pubic hair, and it was a guy he had gone to high school with. And the guy quips, "I guess we'll have to be married now." But asking him, he felt no pain when he made that joke.
Mhm.
I can't imagine.
Mhm. Did anyone else cook up anything when you were spending your 30 seconds trying to fight this idea?
Mine's not about a fight. It's just that I've tipped to anxiety about what is expected of me as your seen person. Am I just blurting things out randomly? Are you gonna call on me?
Ah, God.
Just wait, Maria. I walked out to get the coffee and I thought, Sam, this is such a brilliant idea asking Maria to do this that
Oh
I'm going to
God.
ask her when I get on.
You know what the most amazing thing of how fucked you are is the minute I ask you to do that, I'm not in the scene and I don't see you anymore in the scene. So I don't even know what's going on with you. I just am like, you're so fucked. I can't see you like going through it.
So do I blur? Do you tell me?
You just do whatever you want. Is that
Oh,
that helps, right?
yeah, thanks.
Okay. I'm doing a scene thing here, and Eric is in door number 7. Now, how can I know that? I can't read his fucking mind. His mind is invisible. But I know he's in fucking door number 7 because he's doing the thing Sam said. It looks like, to quote Maria, that he's certain that there must be an exception. And that's what his face looks like. Now, the
I can
little
relate to that.
everybody noticed the pleasant surprise, and his eyes widen, blah blah blah. Right, Eric, go for it. This is not said in sarcasm. You go for it. You hold on to that feeling because you know what? You need to come to your own certainty. You should never have a certainty because someone else tells you. You have to have your own personal certainty to believe in emergence. And did you hear Sam and hear how many years he tried to find it?
He still is.
I still am. I'm hoping
He's
you guys
asking
will
today. That's correct.
I've called off the search, but I'm willing to put the search. I'm willing to start the search again if someone says something provocative enough.
This is so important because to go to the point, so perhaps you can relax a little, Eric. This is not me trying to change you, but something that is a quality in emergence is that no anomalies are allowed in the things that we're certain of. No anomalies are allowed. That means no data can be seen without having to re-examine the entire fucking thing.
Mhm.
A simple example would be Burns being me first, being a 3. If there's evidence to the contrary, I need to explain it or I need to say I don't know. There can be no anomalies. There can be no iffiness. Only with the few things that we can be certain of. 99.99 out 1,009s, we can't be certain of. But the few things we can say, like me first and you first, if there's an anomaly, we have to say, I can't know right now. I can know in theory that it can't be other than those two things, but I might not know what a person is. If there's an anomaly significant enough that it confuses me, I have to account for it. So what I'm trying to say, Eric, is there's plenty of room for your skepticism, and it especially applies in the real world when we're measuring. It's a different thing to say theoretically we can see how this is a pair of perfect opposites that occur naturally, that they're not made up. But both things need to be certain for you. Theoretically being a pair of opposites and real world measurements being opposites. And both things must be things that you can come to your own thought about. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think the spot I always struggle in is that it in the is that pair of opposites that you just talked about, which is the real world and the theoretical. Because in the real world, it doesn't always seem so clear, and it's not 51-49 or 60. Like there's always this sort of mathematical dice that I feel like gets thrown in these pair of opposites where it's like, this configuration that actually never repeats, but is tipping one way or the other. But it's not like this clear, like you have a need, I have a need. It feels more like 70% to 30%, and I'm just using numbers arbitrarily. But that's always kind of where I end up going on a lot of these things, is because in the real world, it feels so fluctuated and not exact of a science, whereas in the theory, it's like either you have a need or I have a need.
I will address this in my part, Eric. You're raising something important.
Yeah, and all I would briefly respond to that with, if Steve's going to address it, is just it's true the real world can be a bit muddy, but still those are the only possibilities that I can come up with about where a need is. Determining what you're actually experiencing in the moment, yeah, I totally can see that. But still, the handlebars for it still feel like I just can't even come up with another one.
Let me throw this at you, Eric, before we move on. Can you picture a candle in front of you? What color is the candle?
White with the
Is it
gold
right?
wrap.
Excellent. Excellent. Is it possible for you to not know whether it is or is not lit with certainty?
Mm, yes.
It's possible for you to not know.
No, it's possible for me to know whether it's lit or not.
I'm not saying possible. I'm saying, can you know with certainty whether it is lit or not lit? Is there any other possible answer? Or are there only two answers, lit and unlit? And if you can find another possibility about the candle, you win.
I mean, I'm not going to argue, but my immediate answer went like, well, what if I'm not in the room? Then I wouldn't know if
No.
it's lit.
But that's not, I mean,
And this,
yeah.
okay, this is you.
Schrodinger's
Wait,
cat is not coming into the conversation.
this is you. This is you.
Like,
You could
There's,
complicate the
yeah.
orgasm.
Jesse, what'd you cook up over there? You've known some of these patterns for a long time. Did you have anything in the tank?
Yeah. I had like an immediate, I had the we thought too that Byrne had, um and then I just had a lot of shame, man, come in that I don't do this.
Mm.
I don't think I've had that thought to challenge that. And I just have a lot of shame about that. I don't,
Mm.
you know?
I do know. I do know because I have that same thing applied to other things. I mean, the thing that's strange about this is like if someone questioned me about emergence, I wouldn't, no matter how much they challenge me, I would not fall apart about these ideas. But at the same time, I've with people, if someone started challenging me about like, is your dad a bad person or something? There's like I'm making that up, but like if someone started challenging me about something else, I could fall apart because I maybe haven't looked into it as deeply enough. Like I picture a client coming in the room, they just fell in love.
Yeah,
And if I they have not challenged themselves really about who this new love of their life is, and if I do one poke, they fucking lose it. And
yeah,
that's how I feel if I have that pattern. There's many things I have not challenged myself with. I don't know why I've done it so much with these patterns.
yeah,
Probably they mean so much, probably, but the fact that you have it with this one, everyone has it with something. I know because everyone has something that if challenged, they fucking fall apart. It's just
yeah,
if I'm gonna teach this, I don't wanna, I don't want to have that. There is certain patterns in emergence that I would fall apart. I'm not sure. I don't have access to them, but I don't. I fucking know like 5% of Emergence. If I'm considering everything that's in all the books.
feel like
So if
I've
somebody, go ahead.
no, I was just thinking like it's really the beginning part that I don't challenge. Like I've explored in that me or you world a lot over the last 8 years, but like it's
I get
more
it.
tested, challenged, looked at, but like that initial premise, me or you, is there any other state? And I didn't, yeah, it just
And
surprised me
and
that it,
Jesse, it's not your fault because that's the point of these basics videos.
yeah,
Every single person has come in midstream of me making discoveries.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like I think about Jeremy or Vern coming in at the point where I have almost 40 years and all these books and everything else, and how
yeah,
impossibly difficult it must seem. But nobody, including you, Jesse, after all these years, you didn't get the beginnings. And these are things that I spent over 11 years trying to find an answer to. This idea of certainty, whether you can or can't have it, and then to discover it's not a matter of can or can't. There are some small percentage of things that you can in the real world, and there is a huge, the majority that you will always be uncertain of. And so I try to focus on the few things that I can place a good bet that my investment in it will yield a lot of positive things for human nature. But you're saying something, Jesse, that's absolutely the point for having these groups.
yeah,
That after all these years, you've known an awful lot of the things about that are more pragmatic or, checking, right? But to understand the underlying starting point
yeah.
for something like this. Oh.
Yeah, it's big. Like Jesse, right now, try to focus on your need. Wait.
I need,
Okay, now try to focus on me now.
okay,
Can you see me? And just make up a need for me, right? Whatever it is. Now
okay.
now try to do me and you at the same time. Try to split it. Try to see both at the same time. Just try.
Mm.
Harder. Try harder.
See your need and my need at the same time.
Yes. For instance, I feel cold right now. I feel cold.
Yeah,
And
that's what I thought of. Okay.
the need I'm making up for you is you need coffee. So I'm going coffee, cold, cold, coffee. I'm trying to do them both at the same time. Coffee, cold. I cannot fucking do it, man. I can go really fast in between, but I can't even look at me and you at the same time. Like I can blur it. I can sort of stare in between our boxes and
Yeah,
try to like notice, but really when I'm paying close attention, it's tipping even if it's really fast.
yeah, yeah. I can feel
I
that.
think I think the thing that you probably don't realize is you're so willing to participate in this. If I was trying to convince someone else this existed, they'd be like, how could some random fucking guy in New York discover this thing nobody knows? And that would be the argument. And I'd be like, well, you want to try to see if you can do things to this? And it's not, no. They won't actually have a personal experience of any of this. They
Yeah,
won't really even come into the world.
yeah,
I mean, their idea of proof is like, the New England Journal of Science. It's like they couldn't actually discover anything themselves about life. Like they couldn't actually know something about life unless it's been approved by 600 fucking weirdos at the New England Journal, whatever.
I had somebody years ago in a group do this about the Wiseman's map that I am saying that those four kinds of information are mutually exclusive. You can only have one kind at a time. Now, in that group, I was doing the two invisible ones, a feeling and a thought. And the evidence for the thought would be words. So I said, you can never feel a feeling and speak the words about it at the same time. If you do, you're not landing on either. And how would I do this? I had everybody rub their hand on their thigh, and while they're rubbing their hand on their thigh, pay attention to the feeling that you feel as you rub your hand on your thigh. You guys might try this. Rub your hand on your thigh slowly. Focus on the feeling. Now tell me what you're feeling without losing sight of the feeling. That was excellent, Jesse.
Yeah. I'm also thinking about Astrid and asking her if she's surprised, like right after that moment, her trying to,
The minute she speaks about it, the feeling, her access to the feeling goes away.
yeah,
This is one of the most fundamental things for all therapists to know. If you don't know this, you fuck up all the time. You think the person's words are what they feel. Anyway,
yeah.
Maria, has anyone in this scene have your attention?
Um, a minute ago it did.
Who was a minute ago?
Well, Clance was there, and then before I saw John and Lexi weren't there. Like it was just like the chair and the and the couch. But I don't know. I kind of went with you guys, so I wasn't looking around the whole time.
I'm gonna just this is not gonna be precise enough of a question, but is there a person that you today that you've noticed the least or worried about the least? I
Worried
know
about
least.
the least.
I know the sentence was gonna be no good. It's so fucking hard to do, it's so fucking hard to do a question that lands.
okay, stop.
Go ahead.
2 years of learning on this. Superlatives
I know.
poses questions to a scene first person, create disaster. Look at Clancy's head nodding.
Mm,
That's a tipping point.
yeah, it is. It really, really is.
Wait, the fact that you said most?
Least.
Oh, least.
Yeah. That is actually a story question. I mean that is a I never realized that. That absolutely is. That's why I ask it so much. I love those questions, favorite, where it's like it's not a scene. I mean, I could say, is there someone you're noticing the least in this scene? Is that could your brain do that, Maria?
Le I don't think it's just seen. I think it's the least thing. I don't
Oh,
know
scene
something
autism. Oh no,
because
the
I'm
autism's a
just
thing.
auditing how I'm just looking at everybody and I'm going. There's like a bar chart in my head trying to see like who the
Oh my gosh.
I have to say, like I was going to the bathroom getting yogurt, and I was thinking to myself, I was hearing Jesse talk, and I was like, I don't think I've ever been in a group in the years I've been here where in such an uncomplicated way, we're actually looking at the ideas in a skeptical way, like to really measure
Yes.
them out both
Yes.
ways. And I think like that is just like I've loved that about this. And like hearing people that I don't normally hear some of the skepticism from, I'm like, hell yes, because I just don't normally hear that in the group. Like I don't know if people just hear the ideas and take them, or are they actually seeing where they may or may not fit, or like some of that stuff I don't see or have conversations with people outside of the group. I have like my people naturally, I mean the people in Asheville I see and talk to the most, but I just think that's been so cool to see that in this group. I've loved that. And I'm just thinking a pair of opposites, that's just the opposite that I don't naturally see when we're talking about emergence, is like actually in a group, like how does this idea not work? And like that's just something that I don't see but so much in our groups, and I've loved that today, honestly.
Would you
So
like to have a piece of emergent science added to your what you said, John,
sure.
to support it? Okay. Eric and Sam have show an oppositeness in their level of skepticism about the primary patterns in emergence today. And we could, in some ways, say, well, Sam has been doing this for a long, long time, and Eric a relatively long time. But that's not the difference. There is a difference in whether a person is allowed or whether they allow themselves to be skeptical or not. And it relates to a pattern in human nature, a measurable one. Where does the skepticism, the urge to hide the skepticism come from?
I mean, do you want me to get? Are these
No, no, Sam,
rhetorical
you
or?
already know. I know you know.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
could
you.
see that.
Okay.
Anybody else? Sarah?
Socialization?
What, excuse me?
I said socialization.
In what way?
You're wanting to fit in, so you have to go with the majority or go like stick with the rules, don't challenge somebody.
Okay. If it is the last thing I do, Sarah, I am going to get you to be able to simplify your thoughts because you're right, but it's so fucking complicated that I'm not sure I could normally understand it. No, stop. Stop. People who are majority socialized have been told never believe anybody is all right, never claim that you know all of anything. It is socialization. Minority socialization allows for, well, what the fuck? I think I might be able to know something completely or with certainty. But majority socialization tells you never claim that. If you do, you are an arrogant asshole.
Arrogant, know-it-all. Yeah.
Know it all. Exactly. So the socialization is a huge factor against what happens in our groups as far as learning. And what you're saying, John, is absolutely my feeling because I am trying to get the skepticism to be open and respectful. And it is respectful, but
Oh
open,
yeah.
to not have a fear.
And I love too, like as you play it out, it just, with the tipping points, it all just in real time, you get to see it in the real world, how it falls apart and how the science is just, it's here. When you go to a measure of fractal, every single time out, it's there. That's the real world. So I just think that piece is really cool. And I have to say this too, Sam. I've never seen you wear a blanket. And I'm like, Sam's been aware of his comfort in this group, and I love that. Like, I just thought that was really cool. So.
It was the straitjacket with Maria, 5 minutes. I mean, I feel close. I mean, and with Eric, I mean, it feels like the only difference is just not the level of skepticism, but the amount it's vocalized. And Eric does vocalize his skepticism too. I don't. It's just not as much as it probably exists. But I would argue the skepticism, the amount of skepticism can lead to the amount that you end up knowing about the thing. So if you have a lot of skepticism, that's probably a good sign in some ways. And Eric knows emergence. I mean, relative, pretty deeply.
But I would add, if you
Are you breathing,
cannot,
Eric, or no?
it's not.
Okay. Okay.
I would add, you cannot recognize or regulate or mediate your skepticism to the point where you gain from it without seeing past socialization. It is not possible. Everything in your life, Eric, you have been pressured to never admit you absolutely know something or that anybody else can know something. It's socialization. And why? Because the primary rule in socialization is simple: never hurt another person. And if you claim to know something, it can
That
often
hurts people. That
hurt
hurts
another
people every
person.
time. Every
And
single
so
time.
it breaks the primary rule in socialization: never hurt another person.
Steve, when every time you say I know something, when you talk about the Astri photo, I know something. I know that hurts everybody in the group a little bit. It
And
has to.
right, and Hannah probably being the only person in
Oh
my
no.
life who can stand up to me in that way without, being, well, sometimes crazy, is the only person to have ever said to me in a way that wasn't disrespectful, how can you play God? Meaning, how can you be certain of anything? And
Mhm.
this group is directly coming from that, which she said to me, if you can picture it, 3 years ago. And I heard the question as not something that was trying to hurt me. I heard it as something I could understand in her, that she could feel that way. And a lot of similarity to you, Eric, a lot, the way that she said that to me. But she was just beginning to realize she's not majority socialized, so she was beginning to have those moments where she'd burp out an uncivilized, unsocialized question.
I just asked a clarifying question.
Wait. I want Eric to go first though, because I feel like he just that was just a lot going at him. So I want to give if he has anything ready and co to come out of the oven, I want to give
I
him a
thought
chance to talk.
about door number 7 and some of the experiences with that and how that's sort of related to the times when I glossed over my own anxiety about not knowing, right?
Hmm.
There's that
Yeah,
part.
Mm.
yeah.
And but then, like when you don't know and it feels unsolid and you do that and somebody challenges you, you just fall right on your ass, right? Or at least I fall
Oh
right
yeah.
on my ass because
Me too.
there's
Me
nothing
too.
I actually climbed up on to make
Right.
the statement where I feel confident that like, which is why this whole conversation is so important to me. Because it's like, okay, maybe there is very little I could be confident, but like even when the beginning with Maria, when I was like, oh, there was a lot of certainty in that, but she was certain in her perspective of how she saw everyone in the scene. And she's allowed that. Like, why wouldn't she be allowed that certainty?
Eric, that's. But now divide the certainties into two. The certainty that a person has as a personal belief, but emergence claims that a person in the real world, can have a certainty about something outside, an objective certainty, not just inside. And both things they're different, they're related, but emergence claims that from a very few things, like the candle being lit or unlit, that we can know with certainty in the real world. That does not claim that we can know beyond those few things. That's absurd.
Yeah, that's the piece that it's. I mean, even okay, like another thing I did when I first met Steve that I can remember being in my bedroom and writing down these are the social priorities: comfort, neatness, freedom, and understanding. And I just tried to find an experience that didn't fit in those categories. So I'd write down something like, you know, reading a book. And then I would try to find something that didn't fit. Like there must be something outside of those social priorities. There must be some kind of need that exists that's not these just how could all the fucking needs just be four fucking categories, you know? But then the thing that so it's interesting that of course, similar to everything else, I couldn't find anything that didn't fit. But the piece that you that's the piece that you can know about it, but the piece that you can't know is literally insane. Like like what kind of comfort? Like you okay, you're cold, but like how many ways can you warm yourself up? A blanket, how many ways can you drape a blanket over yourself? Like we could never predict any of that stuff. Anyone claiming to know those things yeah, you should run for the fucking hills. I mean, there are people that are claiming those to know those things. John,
No, I was agreeing with you. That was me saying yes, that you couldn't know that. So
yeah. But
Sam,
I think that go ahead.
I'm also wondering too, as you said that about like scene and story needs. Now
Eric,
that we've just
Eric,
Yeah.
pause. Here we go about, Wittgenstein's idea about words, which I have so been inspired by. Scene and story do not have anything to do with needs, but they affect needs. Scene and story are about your memories. Do you remember things in a single chunk or in a series of chunks? One chunk or a series of chunks has nothing to do with the word needs, but how we remember things affects whether we'll have needs or feel
Mm,
them. But what you're doing is you're saying red paint on the wall, and you're saying, red is inextricably connected to the wall. No, it's not. Scene story is like paint color, and the needs are like the wall.
I don't know.
I get it. I get it. And 40 years allows me to have a clarity about this because I have had tens of tens of tens of thousands of arguments in my head with people who are going to tell me I'm full of shit. And the pain
Me
of
too.
that, Eric, the pain, the cumulative pain of that has made me want to quit doing this so many times.
I think the most painful thing is when I'm talking about this shit from like 12 years ago where I'm writing this down is like I don't know how somebody could do it and not without doing that. Like I don't know. So it's really complicated. Like if I want to teach somebody the thing, I don't know how to, that's the way I learned it is by it. So I don't really know how to teach that part. I don't know how to teach that part. Like if I told you like all of you go away and do that thing with the social priorities, like think of how to even do anything about it. I don't, that part is just, that's what I think of when I think of the basics, that problem, which I cannot solve. And I'm not saying that I don't know anything about who would do it or not do it. I'm just saying I don't know. I never connected it to socialization, Steve, until you said, this conversation that something in me, I was more allowed to challenge it, maybe. But
Yes.
Maria, how's the scene looking?
Uh,
Anybody cooked? Or everyone cooked?
Sarah didn't get to say her thing before.
Oh, yes, thank you, Sarah. You're
Jesse had
clarifying.
her hand up.
Oh my God. Oh, it's awful. God, God damn. Fucking mother. I didn't see any of that.
But I'm also realizing, Snido, how maybe because I have both, like if I tip, there's a part of the scene I'm not seeing. I'm like going with you. I'm there. So I'm
Okay.
realizing it's not like I don't know.
Sarah, did it have a meaning that I forgot about you?
Well, um,
She
Be
forgot the
honest.
meaning. Can you tell? You're asking her for words. Meaning is a
Okay.
feeling. I'm suggesting, Sarah, that you let it go. How about that? Let it go. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have all knowledge for someone to love you. You don't.
there was a question I was asked, like you told me to bring it here, and I don't know.
Yes. Ask.
Yeah.
How do you separate yourself as a therapist in a fishbowl versus you as a therapist, like with an emergence background? How do you start to distinguish
Hmm.
separating emergence, like taking emergence out of it? I don't know. Does that
Wow.
So
That
I'm
all
going
makes
to,
perfect sense to me. But go ahead, translate that if you want to.
first of all, before we even go there, this is an important thing. Because in some sense, I'm saying that the ultimate division in emergence is to divide what you can know and what you can't know. So what you're asking is a very important thing, Sarah. Basically, how do you reconcile the differences between traditional therapy and emergence? And I think that the question should be put on a card for you and put somewhere where you see it every day. And the reason why you put it there every day and never take it down, even 50 years from now, because the day that you think that you know that difference clearly, you've lost your mind. You've stopped being open. You're not an emergence practitioner. There is no certain answer for that. It's not a natural tipping point. That is so complicated and so important that I'm still trying to see that difference. Which,
Yeah, of course gonna say there's no chance I could answer that. I wish I could. I wish I could though, Sarah. That's the piece that I connect to you about that. I wish I could answer that question.
but the
That
good
would be
news is, yes, but the good news is that I can answer things about it, but none of them are certain. And this group is about what we can and ultimately cannot be certain of. So, collectively, as a therapist, to know that difference, I'll tell you the simple truth. I have drawn on so many things from the famous therapists and incorporated them into emergence that the separateness that you dream of doesn't exist. The idea of there being an unconscious, I didn't discover that. And I have read just simply hundreds of books on different opinions and all manner of things. And it's taken me a long, long time to admit the word consciousness. I have an algebra that defines it. But what good does that do most people? None. None. Every drawing I make is based on that algebra. It's not just in isolation. The map of the four kinds of states of mind. Everything, wounds, everything comes from that. But what do I actually say when somebody says, what does consciousness mean? Fucked if I know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I,
I mean, that's why the tipping points are so. I mean, if there's one pattern to like focus on, that would be it. Like Sarah, when I asked you, did it hurt that I forgot your question? My next question was going to be, did it feel good that Maria remembered it? And that question comes from tipping points are just in my mind every second. Now, I
yes.
don't know what meaning you're going to make from reflecting on the opposite between me and Maria. I just know that it's alive as hell when you do it.
Yes.
If you can do it. And so, you know,
Yes.
one of the opposites, if there's one pattern now, and but it's not even so easy to see that. There's a million things I can't find the opposite of, you know. And a lot of the time I just my soul feels like Eric right now. Like that's the way Eric looks is how my soul feels.
I
Where
think,
I'm just
yeah.
where I'm just suffering so badly, waiting to find an opposite of some fucking thing that I'm experiencing, and I have no, and I'm just lost. And then sometimes it never even comes. Go ahead, Eric. Oh, I thought you were unmuting.
No, I am buried though. I'm definitely got buried in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like, like there's like the hand coming out of the ground, and it's like I'm not dead, but I might not be alive.
Yeah, and I would say that one tipping point I see people don't take advantage of as much as I do is the tipping point of being in the group and being out of the group. Like you should just probably walk to the mailbox. Like turn the fucking video off and walk to the mailbox and come back. Like I do that all that I leave if you go back and watch groups, I probably leave group more than any person. But again, minority socialization, so that's another tipping point of why I'm able to do it. But I'm just trying to promote that right now. Like, has anyone felt an urge to leave group for like 3 minutes? Anyone? Lexi? Oh, good. Eric, you have. Okay, so you had the
Oh, I
urge.
wanted to leave a
Jeremy, you
bunch of
have.
times.
But
Yeah.
think of that you didn't do. How do you know that wouldn't be best for you? For like a couple of minutes at least.
Can I share real quick on the oppositeness to what Sarah said? Because I think it's important.
Sure,
Um,
yeah, we got 4 minutes till I lose control.
I fucking love that question. That
Me too.
question doesn't fuck me. I love that question. In fact, almost everything I've been doing in school is gathering data about that question, Sarah. Like how much of what Steve's doing and what Emergence does has evidence, is drawing on like very concrete theories of mind and change and theoretical orientations and all that fucking layer two bullshit is there. And I love it though. Like, and, but I was nowhere near that when I graduated, even, like I
Yeah,
had no idea. I had no idea. And I
yeah,
certainly didn't
Eric, I
love it.
think you have the most interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're like the furthest into the Emergence University and then the furthest into the Fishbowl PhD. You're like as far as you can go in both worlds. I mean, you're at a really interesting cross section to me. Maria, you look like you want to talk. Is that true? You're unmuted right now.
I am unmuted. I didn't realize that.
Story,
Jesse.
story at work.
God damn it.
Jesse.
No, I've just been having and aha about the skepticism I didn't have in the beginning of learning emergence. And I'm thinking about it and fall. I had a big fall in love with emergence and Steve, honestly. And I think for me in that fall, I just everything I saw in the world, I just put it in emergence to. It was almost like someone trying to, sorry, like talk to me about a girl I'm falling in love with, and I'm just telling them all the things I know about her and all the good things. And I think over the years, the last few years, I've had a break in the fall, and now I'm starting to grow. The skeptical thoughts are starting to like I'm starting to grow in love with emergence and
Yes.
ask
Yes.
about it. And yeah,
Yes.
I feel like that and the socialization, they're all at play. I mean, I just wanted to share that. Yeah, thinking about that.
Thank you, Jesse, for saying that because I'm definitely in the falling in love part of my experience. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like I don't know enough to be, but so skeptical. And that as I learn more, um, I think I'll be able to challenge more. Kind of a neat thing is that my wife is very skeptical about everything and challenges everything, but
Mhm.
she's starting to watch these with me. And the questions she asks is amazing because it helps me to say, oh, yeah, what about that? And so, but I'm definitely I'm in romance right now.
Or in something I was going to share before was about me and you, where we've talked about it's hard to be skeptical when you can so see that it fits also.
Yeah.
Like when it just fits and you can see it out in the world and your mind is open enough to fucking see that it fits,
Yeah.
it's hard to have skepticism at times because you can just so see it. So we've talked about that too, Vern, where you're like, what am I not seeing? Why am I just like, why am I just like, yeah, this is it. This works. And I'm like, think about all the shit you've seen that doesn't work, that doesn't fit, right? So when you see something that actually fits, it's like, oh my fucking God, yeah.
Yeah. And because I'm old too, I have seen a lot.
We mentioned your age. Steve's older.
Yeah, Maria, and even like having Otis, like there was so much I saw in Otis. Like, okay, he's in neatness right now. Like I just saw it, you know. So that was happening, and I mean, I
So
love.
this might be one of the most important things of all that you've raised, Jesse. The idea that there's a certainty that comes from falling in love and a certainty that comes from growing in love, and they're not the same.
Wow. Yeah.
Believe me, if I don't think anybody will ever see, because it's not recorded in any way, the struggle that I have gone through about my own skepticism about any of this. I went through 11 years to get startles and emergence of pain. This is not you owe me or whatever, a boast or something. This is skepticism. And during those years, I took classes in what makes something true, what makes this thing of science, like all these different things, philosophies and everything else. And there are a hell of a lot of opinions about what makes something true. A lot. From some very smart people. And what am I claiming? That they all miss something. That is not saying that they didn't teach me something. I couldn't even have discovered this if I did not have all that other stuff in my mind to push me in this direction, no down, no up, and no anomalies. If somebody shows me something about truth that, you know, pulls this apart, I have to look. I can't look away. I will never ad hoc it, and I will never just say you should just trust me. Those are bullshit things. No. You have to have your own trust. Otherwise, you're not actually a teacher. You're just a parrot. And I don't want that. I want people that have their own depth of this, their own truth, their own.
Yeah, and the depth really sees both sides, the good and the bad. I mean, just I can just switch the metaphor to like my marriage, like my relationship with Clancy. Like when Clancy first met me, it's like, oh, Sam's great. Or the best is the contrast between, somebody like a client of mine, if they meet Clancy, oh, Sam's so great, and Clancy knows that part is true, but she also knows the reality of me. And it's like there's nothing left out. Like Clancy has so many pieces of data that are not left out. And so she knows me deeply. And when you know someone deeply, you know they're a fucking hot mess. Like it's not, there's nobody and that's the same thing Jesse's saying. Like, it's like he's in the part of the relationship where it's like, oh yeah, emergence is great. Also, it just wrecks your site. It's like it's a lot of shit there.
In this group, we're actually pushing to the surface this idea about that overlaps with all these other things like love, learning, therapy, like so many things. And it hints at how the things we can know, the patterns in emergence, apply to everything that we could possibly think of. It hints at it. I can't be certain of that, although I'm theoretically certain from the maps. I believe it, but there's so much that I don't know and will never know that what the fuck. And my process has constantly been to pare down what can I know and what can I know. Anyway,
Yeah. And I just, as I wrap up, I just want to say that similar to Steve, I'm learning all kinds of stuff in these things. I think the thing I learned is very subtle for me, which is that I never asked anybody like the way I asked Maria to help. The minute she said yes, I felt so much better, which is not just like, oh, Maria's sweet, like whatever, she held in her pee for me, all that stuff. But the piece is that I saw how responsible I actually feel. The minute I did that, I actually realized, and I thought, of course you're anxious. Like the level of responsibility you have is insane. Literally, it's like fucking pathological.
Mm.
And then I was like, I bet you everyone in this fucking group, if they had to take over this group, would be like fucking just drowned, just like me. Like they'd just be melted. And actually, Eric was already did some pre-learning. I was wanted to say that too. Eric texted me actually about groups. So it was already the snow globe of my mind was already there was stuff here because he had died after doing a group or something. I can't really remember exactly. But anyway, so I'll pass it off now.
snow globe of your mind. What a perfect description of Sarah's mind. And you see the smile and care that I'm saying it, Sarah, not the criticism and harshness and whatever. Yeah. Okay. I have a unpleasant certainty that this will be too hard for all of you, what I am about to say. And that's a closed-mindedness on my part that I'm working on. I think Maria and Sam and I are, all three of us are working on noticing, well, what is in the way of us being teachers. And I, in no way, will ever be done. Never. Okay. So I want to start with the idea that if you can set aside your socialization just a bit and just look at this as if you are not human and you're looking at human behavior, I want you to imagine that you can live 1,000 years and you've spent over 100 of it observing human experiments in labs. What you've been trying to do is you've been trying to see what are they doing. What's happening in those rooms? Why are they going to such great lengths to take something and remove it from the world and only put it on their little lab table in some kind of a flask or jar or box or oven, and they're trying to know the nature of the thing in an unnatural state. This is what the science has been for 400 years. They are trying to know the nature of a thing while in an unnatural state. What I have been trying to do is to know the nature of people, basically, in a natural state. And that is where emergence begins to be completely different. That's where the differences begin. There is a lot of overlap. This is not like there's nothing I draw on about this. That's nonsense. But there's a lot of overlap. And quite honestly, the present scientific method and the experimentalists are almost like the wall that I throw my tennis ball against. And the bouncing back is how I learn. If they weren't there, I couldn't learn. If I didn't find things that I like, this idea, a fundamental pair of opposites, they try to know the nature of a thing in an unnatural state, isolated from the world. This is true for psychologists, this is true for medicine, this is true for physicists, this is true for engineers. And that, bridging that difference between, what could be true in theory and what's true in the real world, okay, that's a theoretical difference. But knowing the difference between something is in its natural state and something is isolated in some room somewhere. So imagine we took Otis and we put him in this room. We're going to understand the nature of child play. And we fill the room with shit that he says he likes, and we watch him. Now, this is a critical thing. It's not a black and white. Because, first of all, when children are playing with things that they're interested in, the size of their world is limited to them and the things they're playing with. So the nature of seeing how a young child or a baby behaves is doable, largely because the child's world, the natural world, is small. Infinitely complex, but small. The minute that a person learns to live more out in the world, like when Maria's daughters went to preschool, their world expands dramatically. Their socialization changes, worldview conflicts come into being. Is a teacher different than mommy? Or is a friend different than a sibling? Right. And at that point, can you then put the child back into this room and have them play and know their nature? No, you can't. No. Now that's at 3 or 4 years old. All of us. Okay. If you go to sleep, Lexi, I'm going to shoot you. Please know that. So, what I'm trying to say is that there is a there are things that emergence can speak to, but they first qualification for the speaking to it is they must be naturally occurring things in a naturally occurring state. That's the first qualification, that we cannot have any certainty of a thing which is not a natural thing, something man-made, or it is, but it's not in a natural state. And this is limiting this to people. This is not limiting this to candles or physical things. put a person in a room in an experiment, and you have now invalidated your ability to be certain about anything. So now that's the beginning. This is a beginning that will probably be unable for your mind to take with you today unless you write it down. And even then, this difference is so meta, so huge. A naturally occurring thing in a naturally occurring state. Now, let's talk about Maria's photograph. Does it meet the qualifications? It does not. It's a photograph. It's not a naturally occurring thing. It's a man-made thing. Therefore, our attempts, and I'm welling up right now because I knew this and didn't say it. I didn't want to say it because I had to let you all suffer, and that hurts me every time. Because I knew that if we were watching Astri when that occurred, if we were watching in the natural state, we could be certain of whether it was a pleasant surprise or not. We could be certain. A naturally occurring thing. A surprise is a naturally occurring thing in human nature. A painful one and a pleasant one, those are the two categories that tip. They are knowable by the tension. If there's tension, if there's retracting from something, right? But tension basically, then it's unpleasant. And if there's this loose freedom, I don't mean no muscle tone, but if there's this smoothness, it's pleasant. But we, none of us, not me either, can know for sure because it was an unnatural thing. A photograph that's man-made. So to answer a tiny piece, Sarah, but important about being a therapist, the difference in being an emergence therapist versus being a conventional therapist, and please hear, there's a lot of overlap. We do a lot of things similarly, so that's not the point. In the differences, the main difference is, are you seeing the person, the nature of the person, not their words, not their behavior, not their what they claim their motive is, not their life circumstances. Are you looking when you sit with that person? Do you see, are you looking at the nature of this person in a natural state? Or are you creating a laboratory in your mind where you're trying to extract what you see and put it into the laboratory in your mind and treat it separate from the world? Example, the person comes into the session angry as hell, and you ask the natural question, are you okay? Right. But a traditional therapist would say, you look angry. Are you angry? Can you see the difference between those two questions? Holy shit. One is a request to know the nature of the person with letting them tell you. And the other one is a man-made response made up to create a laboratory in your mind that determines it like science. This difference is huge. This is the main difference between emergence and everything else.
Can you say the difference again, just so
Is it a natural, are we looking for the nature of a person in a natural state? Or are we looking for the nature of a person in an unnatural state, like the laboratory of our mind using logic?
no, the
Do,
example, would you say the question, are you angry versus you look angry? Is that, did I get that right?
okay, are you okay versus you look angry, are you? You look okay is simply a human, a natural response to somebody you give a shit about and they look like they're hurting. But you're not trying to decide for them what kind of hurt, where it's coming from. You're asking. When I earlier saw Vern saying the thing about she first has to like the group, I loved it. I absolutely loved it because this is her nature in a natural situation. We're not making it up. It's not man made. Nobody here limited or defined what group means. It wasn't me trying to figure anything out. I simply observed her nature in a natural situation, talking about her sense of groups. And what did I see? I saw so much life, so much emotion, so animated. Um, and all of that equates to a natural honesty. Honesty about like a fact or something? No. Honesty about who she is. This is different than Eric struggling in pain, fighting his own nature because his socialization says you can't fucking talk like that to a teacher. You can't be openly skeptical about this thing. I don't mean you have no different ideas, Eric. Obviously you do. But I'm acknowledging the human struggle that I could see in you. Do I know what you thought? No. Do I know what you felt? No. But I can say you struggled because you said it. And I saw it. And the struggle was in a natural conversation with Sam. Sam didn't do anything artificial to get that response in you. Sam was simply and like me, probably largely intuitively, just being curious about your nature. Sam and I share minority socialization. And in some way that makes us able to do this a little bit more easily because that inhibition about what we're supposed to be seeing is a little bit less. It doesn't take away my fear that people will hate me. It doesn't take away my fear that I'm completely missing it. But when I ask a question or something, it's mostly driven by the curiosity that Maria's daughters have or Jesse's son has. I'm just curious about the person's nature. I loved it when I said the irony about Vern and said, but that proves that you're me first because look, wonderful. And that evidence that she just had relived this pleasant surprise means that Vern learned something. I don't want to put the words in her mouth, but what I can imagine, having had those a number of times, is one, it's permanent. That's a hell of a claim. Hell of a claim. And yet here I pull it out of my ass, and once again, it's as if it just happened just now. Look. Right. That's not a coincidence. That's Vern's nature having changed. An addition, a piece of something lovable has emerged in her for life. Now, is it cover the entire topic? No. It's very specific about me states and you states. That happens to be a huge thing in emergence. But it also is something like calling your pool shot ahead of time. Like I told her, definitely me first. And she says, I'm not so sure. I'm not as sure as Steve about that I'm me first. And I love that because that was natural skepticism, which I'm sure, Vern, because you're in the love state that Jesse described, you're less likely to be as inhibited as Eric, who long ago fell out of the falling in love part, and he's in the let me see if this fucking shit is true to me part, which is excellent. Excellent. You know? And I'm glad that to be able to do the contrast and compare between you and Eric because it really stands out as what's important in our community that neither one of you is better or worse, that this is just simply different parts of your nature. So let's talk about what proves something is true to science. And I am speaking about science as it exists, not emergence. What proves something is true? Anybody? Sam, then John.
Oh, John, you go ahead, man.
If it repeats identically,
Okay, so now you are correct, but does it have any value to you as you say it? Okay, I want
I was
you.
I will I was like, wow, I actually recognize that's what, but to say it though, it felt shitty. But I was surprised that I actually had that. I was like,
Okay,
when you initially said, yeah,
okay, John, this is the socialization, which inhibits people in such a way as to that you're a know-it-all if you claim to know something. Yeah. But seeing it is the important thing. Seeing and your honesty, and you had a natural response when I asked you if this was just said or if you felt it. Natural. And so when I'm looking at things, the first piece is, am I seeing the person's nature in a natural state? Not just their nature, but have I contrived the question as to create an artificial state where they're being asked? Leading questions do that. So, um, anybody else? What makes science claim that John is right, even though it's still baking in him? The idea is huge, John. Huge. Like, what do they think makes something true? You've heard me say it, but to actually look and see, is that what they're doing? Okay.
I was going to say something similar to John. If it can be replicated through experiments.
And here I'm asking, by replicate, you mean have the same outcome come out over and over
Correct.
again?
Correct.
Right. And what happens the more times that they get the same outcome? What does that do to their certainty?
Oh, it increases it.
Now, this is critical. The more times they're certain because it comes out the same, the more that certainty increases every time. I mean, that's the P in statistics, right?
Evidence based.
Probability. What's that?
Evidence based.
And they claim that that's evidence based, and it is evidence based, but the interpretation is wrong. What is the interpretation, or what is the actual meaning, best you can tell, if something is done in a lab and it comes out the same way 10,000 times in a row? What does that mean about what you can say about what you see? What does it mean? That's a complicated question, but what does it mean?
Well, science typically says or suggests it'll always come out that way.
Good, okay.
Was it in a natural state or a fixed state, like a
No,
man?
it's not in a natural state. We're talking about scientific
That's what I'm saying.
experiments.
If you're
There
asking,
is no scientific experiment, as they define it, that is a natural state. They would be the first to tell you we can't account for more than two variables at a time. Well, how many variables are in this group? In this minute? Okay. So Sam brought this up several times, but this is not something that any of you are speaking about. I don't know that you're not thinking it. Anytime I ask a question, you can't have an answer and hope for any kind of certainty if you don't know the opposite. You can't. This in and of itself is something I'm sure, Eric, you're skeptical of. Because this is you. You are Socrates at his finest right now, right? In this stage in your life, which is good. He's one of my heroes. Okay, what is the opposite kind of a situation? We're saying observing a natural thing, the nature of a thing in a natural state, and observing this thing, even if it's natural, like, whatever, but in an unnatural state. Okay, so, but the idea that the thing comes out identically over and over and over again, The idea that that's then interpreted as this is true, we can be certain, is bullshit of the highest order. Why? Show me a single thing, a single atom that repeats exactly the same way in the real world, ever. How can repetition, identical repetition over and over again, be the proof that something is there? They know the true nature of the thing, true nature. When the real world, nothing ever, 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 nothing, no thing, no thing ever repeats the same way twice. Now, applying this to just people, does a person's behavior, words, thoughts, physical body moving ever repeat exactly the same way twice? No.
No. I mean, just think of identical twins. I mean, it's like, yeah, good luck. It's that there's so many different, or snowflakes or anything.
Anything. Hairs on your chin, Sam. Will there ever be a hair that is the same and stays the same for more than. No, it won't stay the same, period. It's moving every second. The cells are moving differently. Every single thing that's alive, every natural thing, not man made, natural, is changing every second, every millisecond. What are you measuring in the laboratory? You're creating something. You're creating it. So it is a direction. Now I'm on to number 3 part of this. Already the brains should be breaking. So what is the experiment creating? And what is emergence doing when it's looking to measure something? How are those things? Okay, emergence is trying to know the nature of a thing in its natural state. And at best, the scientist is trying to know the nature of a thing in an unnatural state. So they're both trying to know the nature of a thing, and that's where they're the same. But they go about it the exact opposite way.
It's almost like science is the nature of the thing in a sterile environment.
And I resist sterile, even though you are saying something that's true. It's true because, like in a lab where they're doing medicine, everything has to be sterilized. They don't want any other things to affect it. But yet, in the real world, when we get sick, it, do we only have one kind of germs in our body?
Mm.
Isn't it the combination of every fucking thing that's going on at every minute? Does anybody have a sickness, the same sickness that ever unfolds exactly the same way? What's happening when they're writing a list of symptoms? Man-made list. They don't even define the symptoms. Right, throwing up. How many different ways can a human being throw up? Infinite. Infinite. It's just referring to something rapidly coming out of your body against your will, mostly. Yeah, okay. So the direction is what's important. Science starts with an answer and then designs an experiment to prove it's true. Emergence starts with a question and allows for the truth to unfold on its own. The whole science book points to this defines conventional science. They start with an answer, a hypothesis. And emergence starts with a slate clearing list, a list of questions. Now, how do we know? How do we pare down the infinite amount of things that we could notice to the point where we see a pattern? How do we do that? Because how did I see that startles are literally the nature, part of the nature of all injury, whether physical symptoms or mental symptoms or both or whatever? or none, that startles are the nature of getting injured. How did I learn that? I don't care. That's the truth. I don't know. Some days I think some heavenly thing was affecting me and whispered it in my ear and said, hey, because I don't know. That question that Sam raised, why this unknown man in a tiny town, like on some little mountaintop, meditating, why did I get to see that fucking thing? As important? I don't know. I don't know. And I didn't see the importance of it fully at the time. In the thing that I saw it in the meditation I saw it in, I connected it to the thing from Luke's gospel where he's saying, forgive them for they know not what they do. That's indelibly connected in my mind, innocence, that suddenly allowed me to see the innocence in humanity. But a month later, having my first emergence that I saw happen, not my first, I had zillions before that, as a child, we all have, but to see it as it happens for the first time in the coffee shop, a month later, the pair of opposites is what everything is based on that you learn in this school. The idea that you must know the pair of opposites. And what are the pair of opposites? Well, gee, the thing that Maria brought up, which unfortunately in a photograph, it still has enough artificial stuff there to leave questions, but at least we can leave this group today knowing that that's part of why we had the kind of uncertainty we had. That still eyes normally only mean the person's mind is blank. And a photograph has still eyes. I don't give a shit what you see. Did I see when I saw Startles and Emergence that everything was a pair of opposites? No, absolutely not. How long did it take me to get that pattern out of this? 10 years. More actually, but 10 years. It wasn't until I was writing the first book and started in 2008, and I discovered that in 1996, so that's 12 years. Doesn't get into print until 2010, that's 14 years, that I am seeing, oh, the underlying pattern that unfolds human nature is to see a thing that has two opposite sides. And this brings us to the most important thing I could tell you today. A thing that has two opposite sides. So how do we know that we can be certain of something, potentially, before we even see all the evidence, before anything? How can we know that it's even worth our fucking time to try to see a particular nature of a thing? Certainly, Sarah's idea about therapy is something that's worth our time in many ways, but it isn't something we can be certain of. And I am infinitely interested in and driven by the few things we can be certain of. The few things. But what makes that me pick those particular things? How do I know? Don't pick the difference between conventional therapy and emergence, even though I love talking about those differences. We're talking about a degree of certainty. I can feel confident about some of those things as a person, but I cannot have the kind of certainty that I have about me first and you first. I can't. Therefore, I don't try. Therefore, I have a lot more space in my brain to look at the few things that I can do. So it's a simple question. How do you pick something which you can, if you put your effort into it, and again, this is potentially still has to happen for you. How can you pick wisely about the things that you focus on, even in emergence? How do you pick? How do you set aside all those other things that are also infinitely important? Like when you think helping a person. There's no place to begin. I can't know that. That's why I don't try and know it. I don't. I'm stuck on how do I get it to be a better teacher, even though I know in the back of my mind, you're talking about something infinite and so complicated. And it's like Sarah's question about therapy. Because really the question is, how can I teach emergence versus how people teach the regular subjects, etc. And it's really all I can do is begin to learn the differences and similarities, and it helps. It helps. But how do I pick those few things that I can? How did I know Scene's story was one of those things? It's less than a year old. How did I know? Anybody have any idea? I'd like you to do some work right now. I'd like you to be wrong a million times. Clancy.
Yeah, I'm gonna push through my feelings of I'm wrong
Yes, yes,
for you,
yes, yes,
Steve. Or
yes.
for me,
I'm
for me.
excited. Yes,
I'm just thinking about that emergence basics with Eric and Sam about the a priori patterns and what we've talked about things having
yes,
an opposite. So if I can think about what's an a priori pattern, like
yes.
can I find the opposite of this and can I be somewhat certain that it has an opposite? And if I can't find an opposite, and then if I can't, then it's unknowable. But if I can, then I can at least know it's this or that, like the two that are one. Yeah.
That's good, Clancy. So let me translate the way that I would say it, but yes, nothing's left out. Okay, I'll say it as simply as I can. The only things that we can hope to be have any kind of certainty about knowing the nature of the thing in the natural world, the only things, each of those things must resemble a coin. It can only have two sides by nature. You cannot make it have two sides. You can't design the thing to have two sides. It has to be a naturally occurring part of human nature, and it has to only have two sides. That's it. So, if it doesn't resemble a coin, don't bother trying to know it in an emergent sense. You can be interested, learn tons about it, that's all fine, but realize you will never be able to have that kind of certainty about that thing. Only the few things that are we can see as naturally occurring opposites, like me first, you first, mind first, body first, and so on. Scene, story, and realize that the thing here is that the sides of coins can be infinitely different, even in the same supposed monetary value. They're never going to be identical, and the coin itself is changing from the minute it's minted. It's in the real world. It doesn't stand still. But we know with certainty it has two sides. Eric?
Yeah, the thing I thought of, well, first of all, shout out to my scene first people. I think we all need a Red Bull right about now. Um, I thought about mapping and like can it be mapped? That was the other question I had in my head, like if it can be mapped or not. And then had a second question to that, why I very rarely do that, which is similar to what Jesse said before. It's like I hear something and I'm like, does it? I don't even try to see if it has two sides, often, generally,
That's
but I
good.
do try to map sometimes.
And I am saying with certainty, please leap up and go, no! With certainty, you can't measure with any certainty a natural thing that is not by its nature limited to a pair of opposites, like a coin. The candle resembles the coin. It's lit or unlit. The reason why we can be so certain of that pattern isn't because we can know every possibility. We don't need to know any possibilities. We just need to know it's lit or not lit. It's just a pattern. It's an a priori pattern, as Clancy said. It's a pattern that exists outside of our world. How can I say that? Because the idea of a candle being lit does not require there to be any lit candles in the entire universe. The idea still exists without any instance of it. It is a pattern, which is what Kant said in his philosophy, that we draw on things that come from outside of our world. Plato talked about this as the realm of the forms versus what's in this world, like it's been said in many, many places. An a priori pattern. It's there before we ever look. That's what it means. Clancy?
Yeah, I think I struggle with knowing how can you tell if something is an a priori pattern.
That's
And
good.
I just am like, oh, if someone's shy, like what's the opposite of shy? Like my brain, I'm thinking about teaching this to like Lexi and like next time we meet, and I'm like, I don't know if I could even talk about a priori patterns aside from the ones that you've already discovered, you know?
But do you realize that? Yes. But do you realize that if you even can apply this to the ones that are already discovered, you
Mhm.
are way ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I mean, I
It's a
think I could,
starting
but
point. You get
yeah.
some experience by doing that,
Okay.
right? I learned something very deeply last week when I met with Jesse and Lexi. I learned something about beyond her, but a piece that's getting her stuck, which is that I wrote down that she tries to make two things, feeling of ambivalence, two things, into one thing. What that means is, let me go past it. It means she's trying to find out whether something is true or false. In logic, it's called amphibole, I think. It means a false, dividing a thing falsely. Those aren't the two answers. And my work, and I'm going to come back to the thing I asked you, my work parallels Descartes' belief about this. Every philosopher I've ever read, every scientist, all these people, they almost all talk about whether something's true or false. But Descartes said you can know something is true, and you can know you can't know. That false doesn't exist. And in emergence, the same thing is so. You can know something is true, and you can know you can't know, which that allows for infinite possibilities in the world, but that you can know the pattern. So, let me go back and ask the question again. This person is an addict. He affects a lot of your life, directs a lot of what you do. Okay? Now, can you know that he's an addict?
Yes.
And I want you to feel the certainty that you feel because it's correct. Can you know how he'll treat you because he's an addict at any given time?
Can't find at any given time on Pandora, but you can ask me to play it on one of your other apps.
Sorry. Um, well, I mean, after my initial answer of no, I mean, if I know the nature of an addict, then I can some of the patterns in terms of how I'll be treated.
Okay, but the truth is that knowing he's an addict is like knowing the candle is lit,
Okay.
or in this case, unlit. But knowing how that lit candle is going to move, where and when, how long it'll burn, the color of it, the heat of it, the size of it, all of that is all the 99.9 out to infinity stuff that you cannot know and therefore should let go. Do you know that we have been taught in the world if we try hard enough, we can know that shit? See, emergence is not just about being certain about the thing you can know. It's being certain about how much you can't know, ever, no matter how hard you try. And because of being certain about what you can't know, we can let it go. This is one of the most important things, Sarah, that you could ever see. That so much of what your mind is filled with is an attempt to be more certain because you have more different kinds of data. And in fact, what you're pulling in is the things that make you less certain, that make you confused. In Emergence, I try to focus on a simple, small set of patterns that only resemble coins and only human nature. Everything else, I can, with very clear you know the thing that Sam that you said about when you asked Maria to help with the scenes, you could let it go? That's absolutely an example of knowing what you can't know. And the feeling of what it's like when you let go. When you actually accept that you can't know that whole area, everything changes. Vern, could you mute yourself just for thank you. Those people at the airport, I'm going to come over there and mute them. Anyway, thank you. So, Sam, that example is perfect. The relief you felt from letting go of what you couldn't know.
Yeah, I mean I mean Socrates was really good at that. I mean, he would do these explorations like what is a friend? And then he would contemplate what is a friend, and then he'd get to the end and go, there's no effing way we're gonna know what a friend is. And then he that would be it.
Yeah. But what we're doing in this case is when I ask Jeremy this question, I'm asking him about something that I know Jeremy can know in this case, because I'm telling him the person's an addict. And I am saying, can you know? Can you be clear? I suppose there's like a billionth of a percent that you could look at the person and maybe they have a brain tumor or something, but you'd know that relatively soon. And you don't check somebody being an addict in like an instant, you check over time. You have to see repeated evidences of the instability of a certain kind that feels like it. I generally can feel if somebody is an addict, feel like if I'm in a room, I can feel like there's 20 people, I can feel if there's somebody in there that has a problem like that. Am I certain? No, I'm curious. But it tells me that's a pattern that I could know if I look. I could know this one because there's a hell of a difference between an addict and person who is not. We're not talking about behavior where you're addicted to food or no, 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 no. We're talking about substance and addicts and blah, blah, blah. But this idea of, but can you know how they're going to treat you, behave with you, anything at all, show up for an appointment or not? No, that's the entire part of the definition of an addict. The instability to unreliability. Like that's one of the things that's like always there in the nature. So in this case, I picked this because that's a complicated real world situation that I was asking you about, Jeremy. And you are not being arrogant to say you could know at all. But when you even have to worry about, but how am I going to know how they think or behave? We can say that there's a pattern underneath it all, a priori pattern of instability. That it's notable that you can't know, and that's a piece of what tells you the person is an addict. So bizarrely, the not being able to know tells you something that you can know. And yes, Jesse, this is like one of those ones where your ass would bleed before you completely understand this shit.
I just had a thought of the pattern of don't leave for a borderline
Oh,
client or something.
oh, perfect. So say what you're thinking.
Like I wouldn't know how that would come out necessarily in any moment.
Yes.
Um, but if I thought about it, I could maybe see that underneath. I'm not sure. I'm getting iffy, but
Okay, good. Let me help with the iffy because the
yeah.
certainty part is the part that's hard for all of us.
Yeah.
Can you know that somebody's a borderline? And now realize a lit candle or a flipped coin are more knowable in some way. And we can know in theory that we can know a borderline because it's an a priori pattern of instability. It's a certain kind related to being left, blah, 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 blah. But if a person comes and they have a diagnosis of borderline, they got it before you, Jesse,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you see the behavior in your room,
Mm-hmm.
will you recognize it when you see it?
Mm.
I'm going to claim, Jesse, that at your point in your career, probably 98% certain.
Yeah.
And I think it's humility just to say, well, okay, so there's a couple percent where it could be something else. Maybe they're on drugs,
Yeah.
right? But if I see the pattern of a borderline is so clear to me now, after having the experiments with how many relationships that they killed me, the pattern is so clear.
Yeah.
Okay, but I will never, never know when, how, and whatever that pattern will surface. I will never know.
Yeah.
Can't.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that helps me to have any certainty because I'm so willing to say, I can't know any of this other stuff. And that's the majority of all of it. But the idea that I can know that pattern is the heart and soul of knowing anything about human beings. That's it, the heart and soul. When I see somebody have a pleasant surprise when I'm torturing them, I know that they just had a positive, permanent change occur inside them. Can I know how it'll play out? No. Except for one thing. If I remind them of the scene and they get into it, they will relive the pleasant surprise and you'll see it on their face.
Mm.
That's just simply a part of the pattern. It's wonderful evidence. It doesn't fail. But I would urge anybody who believes that it can to keep trying, like just what Sam was saying to Eric. And it isn't me challenging in a false way. Because you know what? If you find a place where that pleasant surprise doesn't recur when you get the person to relive the experience, I have to reconsider every single thing I think I know, since
Mm-hmm.
that's the foundation. So there is a lot in what we said in this part. This idea of that science makes artificial certainty. What do I mean? It's artificial because the circumstances are artificial. If they take a person, they put them in a artificial situation and ask them questions, you're going to get an artificial result. And the entire point is we want to see if our answer is correct. So they design the experiment so that it comes up with the same results every time. They design the experiment to do that. How am I certain of that? Because in the real world, nothing ever repeats the same way twice. So they're fighting nature when they make the experiment and designing it so that it does what they want it to do. Confirmation bias. Right. So with us, we're not designing any experiments. We're just watching. The biggest thing I learned from is children because they're so natural in almost any environment that there's always something to learn about human nature. Always. It's infinite. But can I ever predict whether the kid's even going to be happy or unhappy in any given moment? No, zero. No, I cannot. Therefore, I can let it go. I don't need to know. Can I know when somebody's going to have an emergence in therapy? No. Can I know the person will have one in the session I have with them? No. I can up the odds because I know what some ways that are optimize the chances. Like Sam has the skill of doing these paradoxical interventions that frequently cause pleasant surprises, right? And that is a skill. That's a technique. That's something we can do. But it takes a lot to be able to do it in such a way that it isn't polluted with your own anger or some, or trying to get the person to do something. Like people can feel that you're trying to control them. And I have watched you, Sam. When you do that shit, you're having fun. There's nothing about that that's like trying to create the laboratory in the space that you're in. It's free. And you're excited at the possibility, not assuming that it'll happen. Every single time that I do a paradoxical intervention and it works, I'm surprised. And that's the kind of thing I have about it. I can tell you I'm certain, and yet every time it happens, I worry this time it won't. Every time. Because I'm human. Because I've been socialized too. Because I'm not allowed to think I know, for sure, to myself. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is an example of this. Years ago, in the 90s, a couple came to me who were getting divorced. Some of you know this story. They came from another therapist. They were coming to me to kind of see, was there anything left to do? Okay. What I did in that session, I regret. I don't have many of these things, but I thoroughly regret. I had learned emergence enough, so this is probably maybe 98 or 99, 1998. One at a time, I asked them to each picture when they fell in love with the other. And they did. It was a horrible marriage. They were so incompatible. And they stayed together for another year and fought and hurt each other that whole year. And it was my responsibility for doing that. Why? Because falling in love is an emergence. You suddenly see the beauty in a person, place, or thing that you didn't even know it was there. And there is no way that that falling in love ever is taken out of your mind. We overlook it. We can be angry at the person. We cannot think of them for 20 years. But any person you've ever fallen in love with, if you go back to that moment and you walk into the scene in your mind, you will relive it. You'll see that it's still there. Everything we do in emergence is about falling in love with something in human nature. Every single thing we do. I love what happened between Vern and I about that thing about group and the me state and all that. I love it. And yet it still surprises me. And there it is again. Well, why? Because I'm a human being and I worry, well, maybe I'm missing something. Most times I am. But I haven't found, like I'm doing the SAM test. I keep trying. I'm trying to find a flaw in it. Not because I want it. I want to believe that I can know something. I want that. But there are damn few things that we can look at that we could do that with. And the trick is realizing the thing has to, by its very nature, only have two possibilities. Looking at anything else? No. Anyway, anything that anybody wants to add? Jeremy, are you scrolling
No.
in your mind? No?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm thinking about a lot of the stuff we talked about today.
The most difficult thing, Jeremy, to keep in mind is your scene. So don't be hard on yourself when it's hard. Because the stuff we're talking about has to connect to so many stories in order for it to be understood.
Well, learning's becoming a lot easier as I'm getting into the habit of not starting with what I already know. So, yeah.
That's brilliant.
Well, John helped me with that. So,
Okay. And I give him credit, but you need to give you some credit, huh?
okay, I'll take some. I'll take some.
Yes. Anybody else? Vern, you are the baby in the group. I saw you, Sarah. Was this hard? You better say yes.
Wasn't hard. It's
Complicated.
so well, yeah, yeah, but it's so intriguing, you know. So yeah,
Good, good.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
you're not ready to bail yet.
Please, no.
Excellent, excellent. Sarah, you had your hand up.
No, the only thing I wanted to say was how much I resonated when Vern smiled to hear that she was a three, because that's the same way I feel about group. And also when I do like I roll my paper, I'm like, guys, I'm not just gonna sit here. That seems like it's for group, but really it's for me because I'm like, guys, I'm not gonna fucking sit here and like try to figure it out and make so that's like a me thing actually too.
So brilliant. And that is the most important thing we could do in any group is learn from each other. And realize you just learned from the baby in the group. Anybody else before we go?
No, I gotta go. I love you guys though.
All right.
Love you, Sam.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Love y'all.